system that I will show you comes directly from an understanding of radiation. I talked a little bit to you about the effects of electricity and radiation on the human body causing side effects. Okay? How can an invisible thing make you ill? If you go out in the sun, for instance, well, you can see the sun, that's different. But if I was to expose you to gamma rays for a certain length of time, you would start to get sick. Did you see the people at Chernobyl? What happened to them? They got sick. You know, their hair fell out and skin peeled off, and, you know. This is what happened to people after a nuclear power plant disaster, okay? And what I studied to create the program, the basic foundations of the program, that well, we're talking about the computer program now, the computer program that is used to detect the answers to your particular symptoms. And I say the answers to your symptoms on a basis of, if we were to find the reason why you have a headache and remove it, then you wouldn't have a headache anymore. And if you did that methodically with all the symptoms, I'm sure if you made a list, you would find you had a big list of symptoms, right? And if we methodically found the answers to each one of them, then they would all be gone. And it would free up the channels of energy in your system so that finally you can be what you were meant to be. Now, I mean, if your genetic program says that you were meant to be a toad, then you will be a toad. A better toad. You won't have a fungus growing on your nose like you did before, but you will be at least a very good toad. Now, if your genetic program said you should be, you know, a very powerful, strong person, then you will be the best that you can be. And that's what the program is all about, to promote that system. And so, to developing that idea, we had to develop a computer base that was universal. As I said earlier, what was the sense of having a program that didn't answer every question? That where the person running the program had to scratch his head all the time and say, well, gee, where'd that come from? We had to develop a system that could give answers for everything, all the time. And so, to do that, we had to base the program on the most basic energy that there is in the universe, and that is the energy coming from stars and suns, radiation, hydrogen emission, okay? Now, it was really easy to see the relationship between this hydrogen emission and the human body by studying radiation. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, what happens when the human body is exposed to this radiation and concentrated? Those can show us a whole lot about how the person relates to their own system and to their own disease mechanism. In other words, each day, if you realize it or not, when the sun comes up, you're being exposed to hydrogen radiation. A very small, tiny part of it. Okay, very tiny. But hydrogen radiation just the same. And you realize by your experience that by standing out in the sun for long periods of time, you could develop symptoms. I mean, if you're out in the sun for 10 hours straight and without any clothes on, you're going to have some symptoms. You're going to have a headache. You're going to have, you know, a lot of different skin reactions and problems that you didn't have before. So, the idea of the program was to develop a system based around the actual tissue decay in the system, the human system, and its exposure to hydrogen radiation. So when you're doing the program, you'll see numbers come in. All the information that comes out of the computer is based on a numbered system from 1 to 24. I'll put 1. There's 24 numbers in the computer system. And each one of these numbers is related to an organ system and an emotional tract that decays in the presence of hydrogen radiation. In other words, All you have to do is live, and you're going to get a dose of energy that will affect these organs. As long as you're alive, because every time that the sun comes up, you're going to be affected by this. Now, to accelerate this 1 to 24 system, to break down the tissues in your body faster, all you need to do is to stand at ground zero when a hydrogen bomb goes off. And these systems will decay very rapidly, all within a microsecond probably, but they will go from 1 to 24, just as we predicted. In other words, certain organs, even in the moment of the flash that hits you, will break down before other organs do. And that's very significant, because those organs are the organs that are outputting your symptom patterns, are they not? In other words, if your heart, which is number 2, is palpitating, then it must have a certain ratio of energy on it that is being created by an outside pressure. If we can change the ratio of energy on the organ, then that heart palpitation should stop, you see? So you're probably saying, well, what's an energy ratio? Well, let's say the heart in its normal state beats at 60 beats per minute. But when you put bromine straight into the body, bromine gas, that changes the energy ratio. And the bromine has an affinity for the heart. Bingo. And then the heart starts to react to it. First, you're going to say, well, wait a second. I thought you said sun radiation. What's this bromine stuff? That's a whole nother, that's an element. Well, if you read the Prometheon, which is a work that I developed in 1980, you'll find out that bromine is merely an extension of sun radiation, as predicted by the periodic table of elements. You'll find out that every element is merely an extension of sun radiation. So that aluminum, wood, tin, any metal, fire itself, everything is basically part of the building blocks of sun radiation. Everything that you see on this planet was once generated from the sun. I got to think about that a little bit. I know it's really hard to understand, but when developing a program this massive, you have to understand that energies in your body and on the ground and in the sky were once part of the sun. And that is a very significant statement. And I'm saying it to you to separate the men from the boys. If you think about it long enough and you understand it, then you can be part of this program. And if you cannot understand that and you will not accept it or believe it, then you need to study some more. You need to go to a library and learn more about the energies that surround you. If the sun were to turn off tomorrow, everything on this planet would implode and explode toward the nuclei of every atom and be sucked toward the black hole where the sun used to burn red hot. Now, you don't want that to happen, do you? So you're going to have to listen to this. Okay.